Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. And let's take a look at what's going on in this market right now. And it's important to do it because, quite frankly, we have a situation on our hands, right? We have the stock market that's going nowhere fast. Let me show you what's happening. Let me show you what's going on. And let me tell you a few facts that you need to understand. The first one is the market is down. Yeah, okay, but this is not shouldn't be there shouldn't be a big surprise. Why should be a big surprise? Because he told us he was going to do these things that he's doing now. Essentially, the tariffs. Unfortunately, the market thought for some reason, the market thought, oh, you know what? We're going to have tax cuts. He's going to do a regulation, and everything is going to be great. That's not really what's happening. What's happening is that he's killing us with the tariffs. Well, you know what? This is what's called negotiations. We'll see what happens. The problem is, right now, long term could be a good thing. Short term, it's gonna get painful, and he means it. I mean, imagine this: business with China, we're talking 79% potential tariffs. Now, keep in mind, what's important. I will show you and I will explain to you some of the options that you have to make money in this market. I mean, you still could make money here, okay? But obviously, it's going to be more difficult. What you need to know, for example, is that we're potentially talking, and I say potentially, and the reason I'm talking about potentially is because technically all this is April 9th kind of the starting date, okay? So 79% for China, and that's a non-starter, right? So basically, you're closing business with China. Now we're negotiating here. Now, obviously, the administration is a little tough on China because the big picture here for you is you need to realize is okay. Now, if that doesn't work, whatever it is that we're trying to do here, they're all going to do business with China. Do they really want to do that? He's going to test everyone. We shall see. But obviously, China right now is in a good position trying to negotiate this in its favor. Anyway, so we have 79%. We have the tariffs. All of them are coming to play. Some of them have started, but the bulk April 9th. Europe is reacting. The markets are reacting. Let's talk big picture first before I tell you about some of the options that you have and what's going on in the market. The euro right now is getting stronger against the dollar. What does this mean? It means that essentially you are able to sell the US good cheaper now. So if you're making stuff in the US, which I guess that's the idea, if you're manufacturing whatever widgets, it is now cheaper for someone overseas to buy your product. So that should be encouraging for the manufacturing in the US. At the end, remember, this is Main Street over Wall Street. That's what you got elected for, right? You got elected because of that fact that it's Main Street. He wants to bring back manufacturing to the US. You may agree with it, you may disagree with it, but that's what he's doing. And he's doing it as we speak. So, as the thing with the European, the euro is that, yes, it is a good thing for you making it in the US and then buying it here. So it's cheaper. So obviously they're going to buy more US goods, technically. But but it also means that if you're in the US and you want to buy things over there, it's going to be more expensive. So it could be inflationary as well, right? If you want to buy, I don't know, because your dollar is weak, right? So you have to spend more money to buy the same European things, right? So or non-US. So, but obviously, it would appear that the administration has decided to have a weaker dollar. Okay. Now, of course, if the dollar is weaker, it also means that, and frankly, it shouldn't be that weak. And I will tell you why. It shouldn't be that weak because our rates are pretty high compared to Europe. So they don't want the US dollars or something, or maybe there's a play against the dollar. I mean, there's a lot of things happening at the same time which nobody really is going to understand except the people actually doing it. Now, so what's happening in the market right now? Well, let's go live in the market right now because there's some before market trading, And I think that should be interesting for you to take a look at. So let's go right now and see what's going on in our portfolio here. Okay, this is the market, and this is the market right there. I mean, that's the color that you want to realize what it is. Look at that. So basically, right now, Tesla is down 6%, Nvidia is down 6%, Meta is down 6%. It's mayhem out there right now. It's total mayhem. Now, yesterday we were, I mean, look at this. Yesterday, it would appear that we thought that this was going to be okay, right? And look at today here. So, well, look at some of the numbers that we're waiting at 8:30, which is very soon. We're looking at continuing claims, initial claims, in 224, 224. I mean, the economy is still strong, right? The soft data is that's worrying people. The soft data, and we'll talk about soft data in a second. So, how do you make money in this market? Well, look, I have a portfolio right here. Let me show you. Okay, yes, I'm losing money on the SPY, which is the S&P. I'm losing money on the QQQ, which is the Nasdaq. I'm losing money on Tesla. But look, oh, what is this? I'm making money here. In fact, I'm making 11% right now as we speak on SQQQ. So let me explain to you what that is. So basically, SQQQ are what they call ultra pro short QQQ. And what this does is that it seeks to profit from a market decline. These pro shares seeks daily investment results that corresponds before fees and expenses to 3 times the daily performance of a daily benchmark. So how have they done recently? Well, in the past month, they up 8%. Now, obviously, since inception, which is 2010, in 2010, they haven't done well because look, why? Well, because the market has been doing great. So this is the type of stuff that you put on in case you want to benefit from it. Expense ratio is not too bad. Obviously, this is you gotta know what you're doing here. Okay, obviously it's all information technology, some communication, discretionary, consumer staple, but it's mostly look at their holdings. United States show all the holdings, but they also have a huge amount, though. They're benefiting from the market. I don't want to get too much into details for you, but the point is that there are options for you out there to make money. Now, of course, let me show you this. Yes, we and you could also they have also a reverse transaction on Tesla. Where basically, if Tesla is losing money, they make money. There's lots of this is my way to make money. Okay, now usually investors tend to be stockholders, right? You want to buy. I mean, look at GigaCloud Technology. That's a name that I've been talking forever about. At $14, that's an excellent entry point. Now, VMC, VMC. Look at VMC. VMC right now is trading at P of 35, which is very, very reasonable in currently because this is a play. VMC is basically a play on infrastructure in the U.S. Keep that in mind. This may change. You may never know. They may actually do it. What else is going on? Let's take a look at Tesla again. Okay, right here. Tesla, I mean, this was $500 stock. Tesla was a $500 stock in December. What happened? What's going on? It's a story. I mean, this whole thing is about a story. The story changed on Tesla, unfortunately, and people started to realize that what, he's too tied to Trump, and we don't like him anymore, and Doge, and he's not paying attention. Looks like he's going to go back, all right. But the stock has lost, 50% of its value since December. It was at $500. That's around 250, 260, some ridiculous number. What does it look like? Yeah, 265, some ridiculous number. So that's something you need to consider. That's something you need to realize that is not going to be an easy thing to manage with. Now, are there any news with Tesla? Yeah, I mean, tech stock, what to expect with their delivery numbers, import, but no one cares about that right now. Right? Nobody cares about that right now. What everyone cares about right now is what's going to happen to the tariffs. What is going to be the impact of the tariff? This is what's going to happen. Okay, what's going to happen is he's negotiating. Um, he's negotiating up until April 9th again. Okay, because that's when they all come into. They're pretty punitive across the world, essentially. And one end, he's saying the US is open for business, and the other end is saying open for business on my terms, on our terms. So come over and you'll have no issue. Now, obviously, when we say come over, that could take years to come over. So that's not going to happen right away. The issue is, and this is the biggest thing you need to think about, is how is everyone going to react? Now, obviously, the consumer in the US, the CEOs in the US, and small business in the US are not reacting very well. Are you going to say why? Because they don't like Trump? No, because they're not uncertain as to what's happening. If you're uncertain as to what's happening, then obviously you need to worry about it. So you're uncertain of what's happening. You don't want to be taken off guard. So basically, what they're doing is we don't know. We don't know what they're going to do, and that's the difficult part. We know what the U.S. and Trump and the administration is doing, and they're saying, "Okay, this is where I start. I start high. What can you tell me? Do you want to do business with me?" That is the essential question. Are you going to do business with the US? That is a question. Can you afford not to? That is a bluff that he's pulling. Let's see. We don't know, right? Obviously, it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt them. And all these countries have been accustomed to the US taking care of them. So that's going to be painful. But if they decide for some patriotic way of looking at things and they decide, you know what, no, I don't think so. I'm going to do my, well, then we got a problem. Okay. If not, then just the idea that they're negotiating with the administration is going to be positive for the stock market. But unfortunately, I am not so positive. I think, remember, the market collapses when no one expects it to collapse. Right now, everybody's concerned about the market collapsing, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Okay. So you're probably going to see some good news or an uptick tomorrow or the day after because the weekend, is only one tomorrow. But then be prepared for the onslaught, right? Because these things are not resolved in one day. Be prepared for a black swan. Be prepared for a decrease in stock price. Why? Because what's going on is you also have to deal with $37 trillion of debt. You also have to deal with the fact that he's trying to put together the package having to do with the taxes. I don't know. Can we extend the taxes? I'm not so sure. My biggest concern is that you keep poking and at the bear and you see what happens eventually. So that is a concern. The concern is that we are not going to be able to manage that all these balls are up in the air. They're all going to collapse at the same time on top of your head. What can you do in this market? Well, you know what? Over time, um, well, no, there is no overtime. And I will tell you why. Because a lot of the smart money is moving overseas. A lot of this money, those stock markets in Europe are doing pretty well right now. So does this mean that no one wants to live? I don't know. We'll see. The concern is how long can they keep this up? How long can they keep the uncertainty up? There's huge uncertainty, right? The approach is going to be different. Um, do you need allies in this business? Yeah, you do need them. The point is, what is he trying to do? Um, Now, do we have? Let's see a live trading session right now. Let's go back and see where we are. Look, you could see Tesla. Let's take a look at Tesla by the seconds. Yeah, I mean, it, as you could see, it's slowly collapsing, unfortunately. Right, it's going down. And even though a lot of them, they don't have that much, they shouldn't be hurt too much by the by the tariffs, because they're very much in the U.S. But you could see Tesla not doing performing well as. What else do we have here? Let's take a look at let's take a look at the market. Right, so we have everything is red, obviously, no big surprise here. Let's take a look at the main. Look, it's all red. Um, I mean, you could look even at Amazon. Obviously, Amazon is gonna hurt. Why? Well, because of what's going on. There's a slowdown, right? So look, and it's just since this morning, and it's going further down, further down. I mean, these could be great buying opportunity. I mean, the P ratio on Amazon is only 33, right? So this is interesting. This is interesting, folks. It's interesting because we don't know what's going to happen. What can you do? Well, if you have cash, now is maybe the time to buy some cheap stuff. But this is not over. This is not over Monday morning. This is not like last year when we were basically saying, "Oh, look, the Fed is going to raise the rate, lower the rate. Let's take a look at Friday for the unemployment numbers." That's not what it is. This is a little bit more complicated than that. There's a lot of moving pieces. By the way, speaking of moving pieces, I want to see what's happening with the latest. So the initial claims is actually at 219, which is not too bad, versus a 224. So it's a little bit of a weakness, but not that bad. Okay, so we thought this is complicated. This is very complicated. Why is it complicated? It's really complicated because there's a lot of moving pieces. You've got what he wants to do, how they're going to react, and how does it get implemented. I mean, it's easy to say tariffs. It's a lot more complicated to say, okay, well, yeah, I'm moving my plants over. I guess all we need to see is not so much a plant coming over because Trump will be out of office by then, is we're doing it. And there's been some companies having doing it. Now, why is he doing? Remember, the administration is not crazy, right? Why are they doing that? Well, they're doing that because for years, quite frankly, a lot of businesses have gone overseas and people lost their job in the U.S. Right? I mean, think Bethlehem Steel, for example, a huge conglomerate in Pennsylvania, and what happened to them? They had to close their doors. Have you ever been around that factory? All the houses around empty, right? The whole that took a huge hit, and is still trying to recover. Why? Well, because Japan became a very close, and they supported their factories, they supported their steel industry, and that's where all the business went. They went half price, Japanese steel. So Japan, for example, is a good example of what happens when you help out and you become protectionist and you tax the tariffs. How well is that? How does that? How well does this work for Japan? Not too good. Okay, so I think tariffs are good as a negotiating techniques, plan, future. But you can't keep taxing everyone because that does not work. You can't be a protectionist, right? You, and I don't think you want to be a protectionist. You're just saying, do business over my house. It is calling a bluff. Is the bluff going to work? That is a question. Because the bluff doesn't work, then we're in big trouble. Because then if they do business with each other, they don't need dollars anymore. If they don't need dollars, they don't need you. And how are you going to refinance $37 trillion of debt? So this is a very risky game. But then again, the administration is going to be gone in 4 years. They don't need to be reelected, quite frankly. I mean, not the people in charge right now. So they could afford to do it. And if it works, my God, it'll be talked about for years, a golden age. If it doesn't work, it's going to be a problem. And this is this dichotomy right now that the market does not like. That is the issue that's happening with this market, that basically saying, I don't know what's happening. Please tell me, please help me. Again, there are ways for you to make money in the stock market. You could buy low, which is, but you should buy when everybody else is selling. Now is the time to buy. I mean, you have to buy tomorrow and the day after and the day after, but now is the time to buy and for the long term. Um, is it time to sell? Well, it's too late, quite frankly, right? But don't ever think that you have to stay in the market no matter what, because there's a huge black swan coming in. You still have $37 trillion you need to deal with. So